So welcome to our Pathwork Village. And what we get to do here is to practice and cultivate a form of joy, an experience of joy that we call communal joy. Joy of being with like-minded hearts and souls. And actually, this is a key part of the evolution of the human race together in this way. And it's here together that we co-create an experience of the kind of world that we long for. We're here on Earth learning to be love. And as Rumi says, the universe only pretends to be made of matter. Secretly, it's made of love. And those of us that are here and know that secret and are just opening ourselves up to it, like to the sun. Really, what we do when we come here is gather to wake up from our illusion of separateness, that we're all by ourselves somehow in our struggles in life, when the fact is we're all a little broken. And that's okay. So we're here to have a deep drink at the well of the sacred together. We're here to help each other remember that our struggles are not obstacles on the path. They are the very path itself. So let's offer this as a commitment as we get started. May I feel all I need to feel in order to heal. May I heal all I need to heal in order to feel. So letting our eyes soften and stepping into the world within, letting everything go that we came with so we can leave it here. Visualize now roots going down and anchoring you to the earth below. Your spine going upwards towards the sky. Find the comfortable, sweet spot on your seat. Somewhat forward on your pelvis, your sits bones, hips slightly higher than your knees if you can. Let the weight of your body move towards the thighs. Let the body show you what it wants. It will. Take a moment and engage your pelvic floor muscles just to wake up the sacrum, that holy place in the body. And invite your nervous system to relax. Let the breath flow down and fill this part of you. Bring your awareness now to the center of your chest, where your heart is. Invite a simple moment of gratitude and appreciation for just being here. Now, together, in this safe place. Feel the flow of breath through your rib cage, gently massaging your organs. Releasing tension. Infusing each cell with vitality and presence. Say a prayer of embodiment to shift from any fear or tension to safety and pleasure. To just live this precious moment with presence and peace. Feel the earth holding you, supporting you. Feel any and all distress and tension going down into the earth, like water pouring onto sand. You hear the earth's voice saying in the most calm way, I got you. I got you. Feel the sky above pouring warmth and light into every dark and cold place you ever had. Feel all your hopes and dreams and longing receiving this light and warmth and daring to stir. You hear sky's voice saying, yes, yes. Let thoughts come and go just like that. Let emotions come and go just like that. Just be what is that remains. There's something inside you that always knows what to do. Listen. Let your mind calm down and the world will calm down. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Now is where love breathes. Now is the time to know that everything you do is sacred. Take a few moments just to soak this up. Let this stillness reveal worlds forming in the heart. Very slowly in your own time, in your own way, let yourself slowly come back, leaving part of you here. Seeing the faces on the screen. Real people like you, like me. So we're an intimate group today. There's a sweetness in that. And we'll start with our go-rounds. And as you know, just to say your name and where you are on the planet. And just a few words to say where you are inside in your, what you notice. Anybody can begin.
I'm Frank. I'm in Richmond, Virginia. And I'm happy to be here. I think I needed this moment of peace and brotherhood. Thank you, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Frank. Glad you're here as always.
I'm Yvonne in Daleville, Virginia, and I'm feeling very calm and relaxed right now. I was having problems with my internet connection and almost gave up and didn't come because I always want to be at least 5 minutes early. So I'm kind of in a tizzy, and I love the way it can be reinforced that we can change that frantic energy to just this calm. So thank you very much.
Glad to have you, Yvonne.
I'm Isdra, for those who don't know me. I'm not sure I've met any of you other than Brian, so I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia. And appreciated your opening. This morning was a time to do really many ways what you said. So I come in a good place, and happy to explore this with you.
Great to have you, Istra.
I'm Saida, and I'm in Copenhagen. And I feel right now, I feel a little bit distracted and in my mind. And I guess I see it as a distraction for me, like distraction for me being in my mind. But that's how it is for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
It might change, but yeah, thanks.
Welcome just as you are, Saida.
My name is Elisa. I'm living in the central part of Italy. And I experienced 2 very nice days, Friday and Saturday, which expand moment of expansion. And today Today, this expansion actually contracted again, and with some issues with my neighbors and so on. So I'm very happy to be here and to reconnect with myself and together with you.
Great to have you, Elisa.
Thank you.
I'm Esther from Swampscott, Massachusetts, and I came, I think, with feeling anger, which I pushed away most of my life. So, and just being able to go to the heart and find peace from that. And I liked softening the eyes, which I sort of look out that way, and then everything looks meaningless. And so I was trying to focus on meaningless and then feel the emotions. So I went from feeling that anger and then the guilt and then sad, and I'm sort of now in pain in my eyes.
Mhm.
So I'll keep working on that one too. Like you said, the feelings to the heart and then the heart to the feelings.
Mhm.
So thanks, Brian.
Welcome, Esther. So, my name is Brian. I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and I'm feeling both the joy of being here and also my usual slight apprehension at wanting to make this worth your while, make it worth your time, from a part of me that thinks I have to do something, when really what we're learning to do here together is to get out of our own way and trust the inner knowing, the deeper part of us, that comes forward. And I can do that 51% of the time, but the 49% can be pretty loud, right? So, and when I look at your faces, I just see kindness, so that helps me relax. The other part for me is just, the strongest part is just wanting to share the joy of this path. And as many of you heard me say, that one thing about the path work is there's so much material to explore, so many tools to pick up and use and work on ourselves, that we can really get bogged down in working on ourselves and forget that just as important as working on ourselves is just letting go, being still, and connecting with who we really are, that we forget most of the time that there's only a small part of us that's a human being. There's a much larger part of us that's a spiritual presence in this human being. And what does it mean to connect with that? Well, my eros really is in what are the simplest steps to connect with that, because if that's really who we are, it shouldn't be so difficult, right? Yet it seems difficult because we've gotten stuck in the smaller part of who we really are. And many of us believe that, we have to somehow get through our struggles in order to be more whole. Yet what this work is teaching us is that our wholeness actually depends on the integration of all our experiences, including our struggles, including our falls, especially the falls. So my intention today is to clear up confusion around truth. So often I hear things like, the truth hurts. Too seldom do I hear, the truth will set you free. And many of our associations around that word truth are formed early in life by our experience of authority in our parents, teachers, religion, culture. If we look at it, we see there is tension and the feeling that the truth is something we have to accept for our own good somehow. Sounds like a trip to the dentist. It'll be good for you. It's necessary. Yet not only is truth actually freeing, liberating, most importantly, it's kind and loving. Because truth wants us to see where we are in distress by being in illusion, where we see what we expect to see or want to see instead of what is. So it's good to see where we have this ambivalent relationship with the truth. Yet, if it makes you feel bad about yourself, it's not the truth. No matter how accurate the content might be about your behavior, your patterns, but the truth is never shaming us. It's never making us feel guilty. It's never saying, I told you so. If what we're struggling with adds to hopelessness, unworthiness, felt lack of perfection, it's not truth. One of our most primal fears is of being invaded or controlled by forces outside of us. And this comes from our earliest days when we were, in fact, powerless and on the receiving end of everything going on around us, for better and often for worse. This early life experience gets projected onto the word truth so easily, and it's not surprising that some of us really struggle with it. It really helps to remember that truth, at its highest and deepest, is something already inside us. It's part of our soul. It's a key part of our essence. And so truth is part of love itself. Truth is not wanting to instruct us. It only has the most gentle invitation. It's good to know that any struggle that we have with truth is really based on misunderstanding. There's another part of our deep-seated fear of truth that is the part of us that deep down knows we've paid a very stiff price for our illusions, our images, our forcing current, our pseudo-solutions. And we're understandably afraid to really face how much of our life we've been in such struggle and distress. We'd rather blame life, fate, family, God. And, you know, this primal fear of truth is part of our no current, the guide tells us. And guide says, you weaken the no current just by the mere observing of it. Right? And wherever we struggle is proof that there's an undetected no current at work. So back to the truth being already inside of us. In the lecture, The Language of the Unconscious 124, the guide says this: the unconscious not only has petrified wrong conclusions, destructive patterns, and negative emotions, but it also contains utter wisdom, divine truth, and the most constructive elements in the universe, constantly building up in unending creativity and love. That's what truth is. Truth actually is this constructive force in the universe. It's the voice of our higher self. Truth is not something we have to figure out, overthink. It's something to just become still and receive. So what we're considering today is to learn to love truth by seeing more clearly the illusions of our fear around it and letting them go. Releasing our white-knuckled grip. So once we start to notice this and begin to trust it, it's a natural shift to begin to love truth for its own sake. An involuntary soul movement in us that is transformational. We begin to have a relationship with truth that's loving. When we love somebody, there's a deep, spontaneous flow of energy towards them. A presence, a giving of ongoing attention because they're in the inner ring of our heart. And in its healthy form, it's not a strategy to get something. It's a high tide of overflowing interest and devotion, caring and giving. They have your trust. You give them the benefit of the doubt. So as we begin to see truth more and more as the deeper reality that only means us well, we start to have similar responses to truth because we learned it. It's the natural law of the universe that's entirely trustworthy. So I want to pause here and just give room for us to sort of be in this energy stream together and notice any complexity we have in ourselves around truth and how common any struggle that we have at any level with that word is just part of our humble humanity, right? Like, brings up our authority issues. I'm going to have to surrender to something. Brings out our rebelliousness. I don't want to be told what to do. Well, remember, these are our projections on truth. That curious how it's landing in you. This understanding that truth is actually gentle and kind and caring and patient, right? The truth has been waiting all our life for us to learn things and providing us encouragement and support at every turn. That whatever we're feeling is pushing us or scolding us or telling us how we should be is not coming from the truth. It's really coming from our idealized self-image and our inner critic, and as part of our lower self. They don't care about the truth at all, yet they will use the truth as a half-truth, right? So let's have some inspiraling together around this. Wherever you are around that word, and what you notice in your relationship. Saida.
For me, is what comes up for me is that being able to see the truth and also connecting it to something that I know I have. This is my distrust in myself, like not trusting myself of being able to see the truth. And also with that, my attachment, like attachment to my distrust, like it's like I'm attached to my I guess I would say will of not believing in myself and having trust that I'm able to see the truth.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're speaking for all of us, really. This is the very nature of this dance that I'm wanting to help us explore today. And again, because we're path workers, we know we're not judging this part of ourselves because we're already struggling with it, right? So, again, to consider just the honest assessment of where we are, like the voice you're being here, for all of us, is part of what we're called on to see and release over and over again as it arises, right? Yet it takes a while because we spent our whole life, whatever any of us is feeling right now around this, the various forms of it, it's been going on our whole life, right? Like what you're sharing, what any of us are noticing in ourselves. So what about this experience of the kindness in it, Saida? How does that land in you when you hear that? That the truth is actually gentle and kind, not scolding.
It resonates like good. It's not for me. For me, I also sometimes feel it's very good what you said. Like, I also think that I've asked this question, well, how do I know if it's true or not? And then you said, I think it was a couple of sessions before, like a couple of weeks before, like ago, and you said, what is not loving is not truth, something like that. And it's just like it resonated with me, because I was asking myself this question, well, how do I know, like, if this is the truth? So for me, it's also like feeling, is it like kind and loving, and also connecting it to my body, like how does it resonate with my body? So,
Right.
and it's our nature, but the one thing is knowing it, like, knowing the concept, like this is our nature, and and another thing is experience, like experiencing it.
I really appreciate how you're saying that, because wherever we're struggling with ourselves, we're not in our truth. Wherever we're feeling some kindness and patience and understanding with ourselves, we're in our truth. So this, what you're saying, is so important, that the truth is not a statement of fact. It's an experience of openness, creative emptiness, that different states now can begin to come in that are part of who we actually are as spiritual beings, right?
Yeah.
Let's hang out here some together, and this is of great value.
As you were speaking all the truth, I was thinking about, in the path work, there's, I don't know what lecture it's in, but they say God is truth. And it becomes sort of, in a way, an abstract concept, because all your life you're taught to think that God is an actual being, and but really, if you could understand, spiritually, that the truth is all you need, it would be like probably a really enlightening experience. You wouldn't need to have some image of God, and all you would need is to know the truth, to know when you're in truth, mostly, and when you're not.
And what about this part that we're exploring, where we have some natural adversarial projection on the truth? Is that something you can relate to?
Yeah, and it's been in me for quite a while now, in terms of where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it seems to come from victimhood. Whenever I'm triggered into victimhood, I'm, as far away from the truth as I most likely can get. And a lot of, I have to catch myself. I'm like, okay, guess what, Frank? You're not a victim in this situation.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Because like victimhood is like the number one image, the number one human image.
I relate to that. it's the go-to medicine.
Yeah.
Yet the hangover is pretty stiff. I don't even have to look when I reach for it. I know right where victimhood is. I can find it in the pitch dark.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my own exploration of truth around my own victimhood and this understanding about the kindness of truth is the first thing I hear truth saying to me when I turn to it is, I'm sorry. Sorry you're feeling so bad. I'm sorry this is really tough right now, right? Because part of my victimhood, my unique Brian flavor of it is I'm all alone. Nobody cares. Nobody's there to help me, right? And again, what I'm experiencing here is this energy that's in the truth that is really it just knows how to find its way into wherever we're hurting or feeling abandoned. Like that sun coming down from the sky, finding all the places in us that are dark and cold, have always been dark and cold. So we're beginning to have a deeper understanding of the truth than it's about something, the truth about something. Really, what truth is an experience of connecting with our true nature, right? And the truth is telling me, I'm sorry you're going through this. It's really my spiritual side that's been with me all along, that's seen everything. But, welcome, Stephen. We give you a moment to land here in our midst. There you go.
Thank you for the welcome. Sorry I'm late, very late.
Glad you're here.
Me too.
Why don't you take a moment and just share with people where you are on the planet, and if there's anything you can say about where you are right this minute.
Well, I'm in New York City now. I travel between my place in Florida, which is pretty warm right now, and I have an apartment in the middle of Manhattan. Where am I? Feeling a bit lonely, actually. My friends have all disappeared. The few I've had, they either died or left somewhere. So here I am in the midst of a big city, which I can handle. But and I have a relationship with a partner actually in Florida who doesn't seem to communicate very well with me in terms of phone calls. So I'm feeling a bit out of sorts, and I saw your email or somebody's email, and I've tuned in before. So it's nice to be with other people, actually, like-minded, I
Yeah.
would say.
Yeah. Just take a moment and look at us on the screen, Stephen. Really appreciating your vulnerability around loneliness, and we all have our own version of it inside somewhere.
Yeah, my feeling usually is I'm the only one that's lonely. Everybody else has somebody, which I don't think is very true, but it's the feeling.
Yeah, it's the feeling. Right. Yeah. Well, you'll pick up as we go along here. We're actually having an inspiraling around truth and what's true and what's not. And the loneliness can feel utterly compelling and overwhelming.
It does.
Yet there's something that's more true underneath that. We can taste together here. So, Hiroshima, Elisa just pointed out to me that I did not give you a chance to introduce yourself. And
No problem. I'm Iracema from Brazil, Belo Horizonte.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
When I didn't call on you, were you glad you didn't have to speak up, or were you feeling overlooked, or some above?
I thought that will be a moment that I could
Okay.
express myself, and truth for me, it has a link with perfection and my idealized self, and its perfection, and I link this in my lower self maybe. And today I was thinking just what about Stephen has already told us about loneliness, and I live in a big city. I have a big family, and I have no one. It's a problem, and it's truth, and it's also true that I feel well with myself, but sometimes I'd like to talk to someone, and I'm so glad to be here. Thank you, Brian.
Okay, Iracema, and you're in Brazil. You know, loneliness is my most intense struggle. It feels bad to feel it. I feel bad about myself because I'm feeling it. You know, and really, I would say the majority of my personal work is just being with the loneliness and wanting to know, like, if I just hang out with it without going into self-attack or giving up, I'll come out the other side. Yet, it's really challenging not to succumb to it. You know, it's like a place in me of nothingness. And it doesn't matter how much other work I've done when I'm feeling lonely, that loneliness, it's beyond just lonely. Somehow loneliness seems like a more heavyweight word than just, oh, I'm lonely, right? Like I'm in a place where nothing can touch this feeling of being alone. You know? So, anybody else have any way you want to weave in here around this experience of loneliness in your life? Yes, Joe.
I don't know. Well, a lot of things have been said, so I'm not. I could attend. My experience of loneliness, which has not been central in my life, at the same time, when I do experience it just like, God, what do I do with myself? Where do I go? What do I do? It's a weird feeling, and maybe it's because it has not been predominant. At the same time, when it hits, it's just like, down.
Yeah.
And this relates to truth, so I'm just going to share what as the sharings as you were speaking and others, this relationship with truth and the loneliness related. When you're talking about truth, there's this image of truth that arises that it's cube-like, it's angular and solid and, you know, unforgiving, and in a physical way. I mean, just in my imagery. And I realized as you were sharing, there's a part of me that us, but me, longing, you long for that solidity, this thing that isn't isn't, you know, having, it doesn't change. It's all nice and solid. And I also fear that, like, oh my God, it's this rigid, hard thing. So both is true. But then I realized when I wrote that down that there's also this fear, longing and fear for the, what I term, this is in a positive sense of the word, fuzzy. It's warm and it's fuzzy and it's everywhere. It's just constant. It's fantastic. And also there's a place that can fear that fuzzy, it doesn't have solidity. So it's like both was true in this,
Mhm.
you know, fear and longing for the hard shape and fear and longing for the warm, fuzzy truth that just is. And I found that really interesting. But recently, so regarding truth, there's that chase for truth, that those of us who have this, our spiritual knowing at the same time, for me, there's this part that I like that part of me. I love to read 1,000 perspectives of truth, for lack of a better way to term that. And I genuinely appreciate a new angle. So I realize that's what I'm doing. I'm like, I have a new insight. Just, but there's also that place where it becomes the chase of that, because the mind wants to know,
Mhm.
and I can exhaust myself in that. And I, not to, seems recent time is this become very stretchy and weird. So I'm not going to say when, but anyway, it seems like not very long ago in this, I had this period where I'm like, oh, that perspective. Oh my God, I love it. It's the best thing since sliced bread. And then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
got that, move on, you know, next thing. It doesn't mean I didn't benefit from it. It's
Right.
just, and so there's an enjoyment in that. I don't even, not even
Yeah.
judging it, but I realize that what happens is then I get outside of myself. And
Right.
so in this fairly recent, a memory, and I don't know what had triggered it, part of that, the beauty of exhausting oneself, the beauty of exhausting myself
Mhm.
is that then I can let it all go. And I'm like, okay, whew, man, I am just, but, and there's a loneliness built into that, into this search, because we're wanting, we're missing home, we're missing God, we're missing who we are, you know, we're
Right.
missing all those things. And so not too long ago, the memory returned to me of, and again, this was actually, I think it was, anyway, I'll stay with where I was. This memory from many, many years ago in my early spiritual life, early spiritual group, I remember sitting in this meeting room where we were going to gather, and it was my spiritual family. And but in this, there was just this moment. Nobody's talking. It's very much. We're like in between things. I'm literally like in a little hotel room in a chair, and I know in this moment, suddenly, it's like I'm home. Oh, oh, and the thought, I can always return here. It's just one of those soul moments. I can
Yeah.
always return here. So that memory came back, sparked by something, and the ability to do that. It was just like,
Yeah.
I can always return here.
And can you feel it close by right now, Istra?
Yeah, I don't know how to describe that. But it has to do with being who I am.
Yeah. Can you just say what it feels like here?
Oh,
Stay with it and say what
yeah,
it feels
yeah.
like, and we'll be here with you. The sensations.
Feel it right here in my heart.
Mhm.
I feel calm. I feel calm and at ease. Whew. It's just like at this out breath. I'm just,
Mhm.
I can always return here. And in one way, there is not a lot of, it's a feeling, but it's not the, you know, the highs and the lows and the ins and the outs. It's just, I am at peace.
Mhm.
I am outside of or inside, and I can sleep better. And I've been so grateful because the search, as Gangaji would say, because I much appreciate her among many teachers, Gangaji, the search is over once that happens.
Yeah.
And I may fly away from that in a moment, but it's been and it is that truth that and it helped to inform my meditation recently.
Yeah, come back to the feeling for us, because that we
sure.
can relate to it.
I don't know how to, it's hard to relate the feeling, so I'll give my,
Just
do
take
my
a
best.
moment and go back inside and slow
Yeah.
down, and
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
if you say the same thing again, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just notice what you're feeling. Notice the sensations. Notice any emptiness, stillness. Just breathe it in and breathe it out. Invite us all here to know it's just this close, right? It's just allowing it. It's nothing to find or to look for, or it's just stopping everything else.
Yeah, what occurs, Brian, because that's the hard part to describe, is it is simply a calm.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a sense of calm.
Okay. There you go.
I noticed that most of the words that because they have been our experience, has some very specific sensations and feelings, whereas this one,
okay, I was just asking.
Yes, no, I was struggling to describe because it's different, and I, we all have.
So let me step in here, because this is what the truth is, right? The experience of who we actually are. It's like the clouds opening up, and suddenly you can see the moon for a few minutes, right? And that clouds come back. This is really the whole of what truth is, that experience of who we actually are that can feel so momentary at times, yet it's right here all the time. And what is it that I'm doing right now that's blocking me from connecting with that, right? And
share one thing. Can I just share one thing?
Okay.
That has been helpful. Just that it's been helpful. It's related to what you're talking about now. That's all. Is that because it's just a different way of, you all get it. It's the non-resistance. When you were talking about the inner no, that the less I resist, the more I can go, oh, here I am.
Right.
So that's all.
Yeah. And thank you for that cue, because what we're resisting are the feelings we don't want to have. And so that's what's keeping us from being the feeling creature we are, so we can feel the peace, you see, that's related to really what the heart of the path work, that it's not feeling what we don't want to feel that keeps us from feeling what we love, right? Go ahead, Stephen.
Thank you. I just went through a similar exercise as we were going through it. And I find loneliness is so caustic because the experience I just had was you're really alone. And underneath that fear, it's like Sylvia Plath wrote The Bell Jar, who eventually committed suicide. I'm not implying I'm going to. But the bell jar would descend upon her. She couldn't breathe. And I felt that. I actually felt almost asphyxiated. I'm in my own little box and nobody cares. And I'm surrounded by 11 million or whatever people. and nobody really knows that I'm here, and I'm feeling asphyxiated. How do I get out of this? And then I just stayed with that feeling rather than push it away. And as I stayed with it, there arose a feeling, or not a feeling, an experience in my mind when I was very young, 5, 6, 7 years old, locked up in a closet by a teacher because I was crying, and how traumatized I must have been, and how that seems to have stayed with me at some level that raises its head periodically. And when I'm in that state of feeling asphyxiated, my immediate reaction is to want to break out and to really hate those people that I imagine have abandoned me in this life, which they haven't. I've abandoned them. And then reverts back to myself, that I've abandoned myself, and how could I have allowed that to happen? But there's blame rather than just allowing myself to experience the feeling. And I assume that blame is to try and diminish that feeling or get out of that feeling, which is extremely painful and frightening.
Yeah.
That I'm really all alone, trapped in this bell jar, when in reality, I was just really trapped at 5 or 6 in this closet. So this is very helpful for me. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just really letting your sharing here wash through me. It's so vivid and intense, and I'm feeling just some brotherhood energy towards that little kid. Like there's a kid in me that goes, I'll be in here with you. You know, I know what it's like. You know, my mother would throw me out of the house and tell me not to come back at 6. You know, it's like, wow.
So is the loneliness a byproduct of a fear?
That there's something wrong with us that's permanent. You know,
Or possibly
Stephen is smiling when I said that, right? Like, is that, yeah. Go ahead, Frank.
the byproduct of something that's even worse?
Well, can you speak, like, because you have this in you and it really helps.
Yeah, okay. So a loneliness for me would be the byproduct of the fear of rejection.
Okay, let's hang out here with you in that. Just stay with that fear and let yourself say anything that you're noticing as you're letting the fear in. Your unique, one-of-a-kind cocktail here.
Yeah, I can feel my heart beating a whole lot faster since I said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
It's like a real thing. I mean, you know, the rejection would be so much more painful than the loneliness. I can live with the loneliness.
Yeah. The loneliness is the defense against rejection.
Yeah.
I'll nurse on my loneliness. Yeah. You see, when that heart rate goes up, now we know we're really approaching our own core incarnatory struggle.
Yeah. Approaching the truth.
Yeah. Well, approaching the truth that there's an illusion in the way of our experiencing who we are, which is love. We are love, right? And we're yet that's coming. The spiritual being in us knows that. The human has lost sight of that and any hope of that, actually, or it wouldn't be so intense, right? Like,
yeah.
This is the very thing each one of us has our own version of, whether you call it loneliness or despair or hopelessness, right? The very thing we don't want to feel because it's so overwhelming and terrifying is really what we came here in this incarnation to feel, right? And what I'm offering here, and the truth is that kindness in the truth, the first thing it brings is just an understanding of what we're going through that we're getting a taste of here together as we feel some empathy and compassion for each of us that's spoken, right? Like that. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. You know, that whatever that kindness is, that's my phrase in my loneliness that I can hear coming from the truth. Like, and then I can hear, actually, you're totally lovable. But without the kindness first, it's just like, oh yeah, fuck you. You know, you're just trying to make me feel better, right? So what is it about that kindness that is so powerful? Well, first of all, there's an utter lack of judgment because we're already blaming ourselves, right? On some level. Whatever our deepest struggle is, we're both the one experiencing the struggle, and there's also some part of us that's our lower self that's hijacking that experience to try to extinguish us. That's just how separation works. The worse we feel, the more the lower self starts cackling and celebrating, like it's going to feast now. Right? Yet there's something about that kindness that it's like turning the lights on in the room. How are you right now, Frank?
Closer to the truth.
Beautiful. Yeah. And I want to say, I'm not saying any of this like I got it all down. What I can say is, you know, it works. And I notice the part of me that's wondering, how long will I have to keep doing this? There's still that part that wants to not have to do what I came here to do, right?
I also want to say that, you know, I feel that my mess, my distortion around this is also my truth because it's something that I have to deal with. You know, if I kept telling myself this is not the truth.
Oh, it's real. How about that? Can we say it's real?
Okay, let's say it's real instead of the truth.
Yeah.
It's real.
Things can be real and not true.
Okay, I'll go along with that.
Yeah. You feel a little more room there?
Yeah, a lot more.
Right. That's what we're here to do, is to give each other room. Ah. So who else here? Like,
for me, loneliness is an illusion of being disconnected. And here, it is most about connecting to myself, and in that way being connected to others. So I also like feel lonely sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I do, and it is very intense. And yeah, and the thing that I use like to practice is really like connecting to myself and finding truth in that way.
and when you have that drawing closer to the truth, is there something that you're feeling that feels good, that feels...
It feels lovable, yeah. Not like...
Right. Look at your smile there, right? You see?
Yeah, it's not...
And we all have our one-of-a-kind experience of the deficit. of the abyss here, right? And we spend so much time in the path work trying to understand all that we've been through, and all that part is useful. Yet in the end, it's really the connection with the truth of who we are and what's inside of us already that we feel disconnected from. Yet just knowing that is not enough. Again, what is the hand reaching and turning the doorknob? For me, it's that kindness, like, wow, you're feeling so lonely. I get it. I know. It's the energy. Whereas we most often think of the truth as like a statement of some kind, right? So I could say the kindness is saying, you are lovable. You're completely lovable. I'm sorry you're feeling this way. Yet, what I notice affects me the most is the energy, being the energy that I'm most missing. Yet in the pain of my loneliness, I don't want to feel what it is that I'm most missing because it's so painful. Yet being willing to feel that is what allows my higher self to come in with that very thing that the human is missing. How about that? That feels good to get that on the table that way, right?
For me, it sounds like escaping from your pain. Because as you said, it's all about the energy, like the energy. Why is it that you use this kind voice of talking to yourself? Is it because you might feel self-pity?
Right.
Because if it is so, then well, this is real for me, as you said. Like if this is so, then this is so,
Yeah.
and this is all about energy. I like that.
Yeah. I want to be careful about that word escape because it also can mean bypassing it or finding some way to avoid it. Yet what we're talking about here is just really feeling it a little bit more than we did before. And that creates an opening for the higher self to come in with the very thing that we're missing. So the pain becomes less of who we are, right? Now we become larger around the pain when we're
not being afraid, like not try to kind of escape from pain, but going through it. Is it?
Right. Mm-hmm. And it can take a while. I know last week, the loneliness, there's a phrase in Gaelic and in Irish English around sadness where you don't say, I'm sad. You say, the sadness is upon me. So the other night I woke up and the loneliness was upon me. Wow, that really describes it, right? And I knew what I had to do. Yet I had to keep doing it for 3 hours in the middle of the night. And there was some part of me that was getting pissed off that I had to keep doing it, right? But I realized that was just my defense against not feeling it, just feeling it.
Oh.
Just feeling that, okay, like Stephen was sharing with us, right? And finally, about 2 o'clock in the morning, I just drifted off to sleep, and it was like mercy, right? But here's the thing. Before I woke up, I had 3 different dreams of beautiful connection with other human beings, none of whom I recognized from my life. But like in each one of these 3 dreams, there was an experience of such love coming towards me and coming out of me towards these people that just one of those dreams I would be full, right? And when I woke up, I had this very clear understanding. This is my soul. This is in my soul, these 3 different experiences with people, right? And it was really the gift of that 3 hours of just wanting to get up and have a drink or something, so
That's awesome.
And it's a gift. It's not like anything I did to get those dreams, yet I did do the work. that creates the opening for the experience, and that's really helping me say that what we're wanting most is an experience of who we really are. It doesn't help us to keep hearing everything is inside of us. We're spiritual beings in human form. It's, at some point, it really what we want is, give me a taste of that. Right? But you said, Frank, you felt it. Your heart rate went up, and then shortly afterwards, it felt like, wow, there's more space now. Right? There's an opening here. So. Okay,
Yes.
I've got it. Go ahead, please.
No, I just wanted to say that actually what Frank was sharing was resonating in me very much. The fact that loneliness, that he connects loneliness to the fear of being rejected. Actually, I feel more lonely when I'm alone. I feel less alone as if I am with people. I feel so very often I'm with people and I feel alone. I feel very much alone because of this, because of the fear of being rejected, not to be considered or not to be understood or not. This is loneliness for me. In this moment, I experience loneliness.
And how does that feel right now, Lisa?
It makes me sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so sad, and it makes me feel pain.
Yeah. You can let yourself look at the screen and say, yeah, we're really just here with you here, right? In some way, you're a voice for all of us in some form, and is it hard to actually look and see us? It seems like it could be. Trust that too. We want it and we're afraid of not getting it.
Yeah. And as you said, it's the only thing we can do in these moments is to be with it,
Yeah.
to experience it,
Mm-hmm.
and to go through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to know it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, right? Like we will come out the other side and be different. Each time a little different. As they say on the shampoo bottle, lather, rinse, repeat, right? So let's try this. Let's do an exercise together and invite us to let the eyes soften and go back inside. Feeling the strength of the container we're in together. The strength of other people here with you, really here with you. And let a problem in your life arise. just as it is, without making it bigger or smaller. And let go of anything you've ever thought about this struggle and distress. Notice all the familiar thoughts and emotions rise up like a flock of birds, whirl around in the sky, and fly away. Just notice any stillness that remains. No matter how small a piece. Make a commitment to just listen and learn. Ask the truth to speak to you. Feel it like the earth underneath you, holding you, and the sky overhead shining light and warmth. Just soak it up without thinking, without expecting an answer. Just cultivate this experience of trust in a caring, loving force that only means you well. Stay with your willingness to be here. Notice what this is like so you can return often. Anytime you wish. Anytime you will allow yourself. You hear a voice that you recognize coming from inside you. You hear it say, I'm here with you. I'm here with you. Again, taking your time, slowly letting your eyes come back to the screen and leaving another part of yourself still here.
My phrase. I belong to this context. My presence is necessary. It's fact.
Beautiful, Arasima. Thank you. So we're in the closing statement phase with a few minutes to go. Who else can call to say something just to hear yourself say it? It's like planting your flag here in the sweet, gentle sands of the truth, right?
My mess is real, but it's not the truth. Thank you for that, Brian.
Yeah. I'm a beautiful mess. And
It feels as if I've been divinely guided to be here this morning. Thank you, everybody.
yeah. So glad you hopped on the bus, Stephen. You're most
The
welcome.
electronic bus, right?
Yeah.
I came to feel the feelings that I had when I was a child, and it was real, but it's not the truth of me.
Yeah. Thank you, Esther.
Thank you. It also brings me back to the longing we often talk about, the longing of truth, the longing. Yes. Thank you.
Longing to long. It's not required that you speak yet. If you have something to say, we're really here to be your witness.
Oh, the other thing I was going to say was when you were talking about primordial man's feelings of being overtaken, or I can't remember the other one. I was going to listen to the recording. And that's not the truth of us either.
Yeah. So invite us to take ourselves off mute and let the hands come up and say in a number of different ways. The faces on the screen. I'm here with you.
I'm here with you.
I'm here with you.
I'm here with
you.
you.
Here with
I'm
you.
here with you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. And by way of closing, I was in the garden the other day and saw this butterfly.
Oh. Tiger swallow.
And
Beautiful.
what came over me was, how can I see myself the way I see this butterfly? I'm not more amazing than the butterfly yet. The truth is, I'm just a part of everything, just like the butterfly, right?